What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Sunday edition of the Pandemic Update for Sunday, May 19th, 2024. If you're new to my channel, this is where we do the daily Pandemic Update on all things COVID and any other virus that could be a health threat to you. So if you want to stay informed, subscribe down below. Like what you see today, give this a thumbs up, share this with anyone you know, and of course leave a comment down below. Alright, today is usually Wastewater Day. It still will be, but the wastewater segment today is going to be slightly shortened because we have several news stories to talk about today, and we also do have a little surprise twist when it comes to the wastewater portion today. We have wastewater from a site that I did not know existed still. So we will be checking that out. Let's get right into the news, because this is starting to get a little bit more concerning. 10 LPGA Tour players withdraw from the Mizuho America's Open. 7 of them have illness. So, remember earlier last week we were talking about MLB was dealing with illness, MLB, Major League Baseball. Well, now it's starting to hit the LPGA Tour, and this is quite a few players to be stepping out at once. Of course, they don't say the words COVID, but we do know COVID's on the increase. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell tested positive for COVID the other day. If you did not see that, we posted that, or we talked about that earlier in the week, and of course, his case is archived on the website, on top of the case that he already had in the past. So, yes, clearly there are a significant number of, quote, illness cases starting up. We don't know what it is. Could be flu, could be COVID, not sure, but it's kind of unusual to see 10 players withdraw from one tournament. 1 player, 2 players, okay. 10 and 7 of them who are sick, that is not normal. Moving on to this now. Health officials warn of possible measles exposure at LAX. So if you were traveling in LAX recently, yes, on May 9th, you want to be informed. You want to know that there was a potential measles exposure. If you want to read the full article and story for the dates, the times, all that business, you can do so through my Twitter account. I tweeted it out at COVID Data Report. Now moving on to this. Also from LA County, they are investigating a reported hepatitis A case at Beverly Hills Whole Foods. So that is not a good thing. And if you were in or around that area, you want to be on the alert that this did happen. You can read the full story also on my Twitter. Moving on to our next story, responding to the rise in pertussis cases in South Dakota. And for this one, we will read a little bit. They are seeing a 45% increase, 4,500% increase in whooping cough cases. We've been talking about this a lot lately. We've been talking about it in Oregon. We've been talking about it in Canada, I believe the UK. Pretty much a lot of places around the world right now, cases of whooping cough are on the rise. And a big thing that you can do to help prevent that spread is get your child vaccinated. Make sure that you are vaccinated as well, because whooping cough, it can be sometimes referred to as the 100-day cough. It can be really bad, and unfortunately, it is really starting to rise. All right, moving on to COVID now. UK COVID-19 is increasing in all regions. SARS-CoV-2 positivity increased to 9% compared to 8.2% in the previous week, and you can see here on the graph. It is rising in all regions of the UK, so this is getting relatively concerning at this time. Alright, now revisiting a topic from yesterday, and that was Singapore's COVID-19 cases nearly double. But there's another piece to the story now. Public hospitals to reduce non-urgent elective surgeries. That means that it's getting so busy now with the cases, the hospitalizations, they have to reduce the care and services that they can provide at the hospitals. If a hospital has to do that, it still qualifies as a pandemic, in my opinion, and I think many people, or at least my regular followers, would agree that, yes, that equals a pandemic. All right, allergies today. It's a little worse today than yesterday. National Allergy Map. 48% of the country is in medium to high status. So today it actually mentions medium to high. Some days it doesn't use the word high, but we can see here in the Catskills, upstate New York, like Saratoga, Albany, Burlington, Vermont, you are dealing with high today. Ohio, Chicago, moderate to high for you. Pennsylvania's moderate. It's not raining here in Pennsylvania today, so that means the atmosphere is not getting cleansed by the raindrops. You see the plains, some moderate to high. Northern plains, it's also moderate. There's a little strip in between that's low right now, but I question if that will actually last. And the West Coast, not as bad. And the Southeast is really the best place to be if you're an allergy sufferer. Not bad for you today. Taking a look at air qualities around the United States as we wait for this to refresh, and I can tell you that there are some bad areas. Texas is one of them. Take a look at what is going on in Texas, right on through Arkansas, Indiana, Ohio. We do have some yellows, but Texas, of course, we're seeing oranges and even a few red sites. If you're in that area, you may want to consider wearing a mask going outside. And of course, if you have an air purifier, today is a day you need to be using it, especially if you are an asthma or COPD sufferer or someone who has some sort of a breathing difficulty. Make sure you have them HEPA filters running because it's going to be pretty bad today. All right, moving on to this, we do have to talk about this. Here it is. There is a moderate risk of severe thunderstorms today in portions of Kansas. So if you live in that area, you want to heed all warnings and take them seriously because, storms, sometimes they can be life-threatening. We just saw the other day, 4 people died in Texas of severe thunderstorms. And today's threats are as follows. There is somewhat of a threat of tornadoes. It's not the biggest threat. Wind damage is the biggest threat, and there is a threat of hail as well. And of course, there'll be threats of severe thunderstorms through much of this week. It's going to be a busy week for severe weather. All right, moving on now to this. Here's my other format where I talk about climate. That is at Climate Data Report. I do plan to do some tweets there today, and I will probably be talking about that severe weather on there. You can follow me on X there. And I was hoping we could take a look at today's EMS numbers from yesterday in Philadelphia. We'll have to refresh this. Nope, it is not in yet. But, drum roll please, I do have to show you something. A little bit of a surprise for Pennsylvania. First off, here's Montgomery County, PA, and you can see here there's currently quite a few cardiac emergencies and some other calls going on. Not a lot of calls, just 10 at this time. And Chester County, Pennsylvania, is seeing some calls, a lot of EMS standbys, multiple respiratory difficulties, and a sick person, and a few other calls. Now the surprise I have for you. Check this out. I did not know there is still a wastewater page for Pennsylvania, and this has updated. It says here, well, you can't see it because my picture's in the way. Data last updated on 5-17-2024. So take a look at this. Let's take a look at it. We can see Erie, Pennsylvania, in orange, is seeing an increase at this time. Then when we zoom in to southeast Pennsylvania, this is Montgomery County. Lower Marion Township, yikes, not good. 15-day trend says there is a large increase ongoing right now. And we have noticed that when I watch EMS calls, I see more sick calls, I see more respiratory calls, so that's concerning. Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, is also seeing an increase at this time. And then there's a lot of other wastewater sites here that have either no change. Then there is one out near Pittsburgh, just south of Pittsburgh, in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, that is seeing a decrease at this time. More on wastewater in just a moment. National positivity rate for Walgreens this week was 15.3%. The prior week was 14%. Difference of up 1.4%. Total test is at 3,565. The prior week was 3,763. We should get a new update on this again tomorrow. Taking a look now at the state of New Jersey. Only 57 out of 70 hospitals reported. That's why hospitalizations are down. 147, 8 people on a ventilator. In the ICU, 15, and discharges, 30 at this time. Actually, a little tiny bit concerning that the number of people on a ventilator, it's held steady. Actually, I think it went up a little bit. And that's with a lot of hospitals not reporting. Remember, the one day, not yesterday, but we had like 69 out of 70 hospitals reported. We had less than 8 people on a ventilator. So the number of people in the ventilator and ICU, it's starting to go up a little bit. Not a good see. It's not a big increase, but an increase is an increase, and it's a sign of the times. I think we're coming into that bump in the road, or maybe even the start of a wave. We'll see. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but with all these illness cases, you do wonder what is starting to happen here in the United States. All right, taking a look at wastewater, and in case you did not hear, Biobot is doing away with their data-driven public dashboard. You know how we view those wastewater, or how you can view those wastewater sites on here individually with charts. They're not going to be doing that anymore. So we're not really going to be showing much in the way of BioBot unless there's something interesting in their reports that they are going to do. Taking a look at the CDC page. This is the CDC wastewater map, and we'll just look at this just a little bit. All the sites in white, they are new sites. All the sites in gray, they're sites that are not reporting. So new sites, there's 16 of them. Dark blue, that's really low levels of COVID. And we still see that there are a lot of them, but not as many as the previous week. It's 689, and that is actually down by 3%. Slightly lighter shade of blue, 20 to 39% COVID detected. That's still low, but not as low as the dark blue. 483 sites, and this went up 1%, so that's okay. And then the lightest shade of blue, which is 40 to 59% COVID detected. There's 104 sites like that, and that went down by 13%. And that's getting into the moderate stages now. And then what is definitely moderate is 60 to 79% COVID detected orange sites. Unfortunately, they went up by 14%. And then we come down here to 80 to 100% COVID detected, which is in the red. And there are 3 sites in that category. That is down, actually, or so it's saying, by 50%. I seem to recall it being 3 sites last week, but heck, what do I know? So you can see here, in the Midwest, there's still a lot of dark blue, which means your levels are still relatively low. In the Southeast, while there is some lighter shades of blue, we also have some gray mixed in. So we can't really get a good sense of what's going on there, but the fact that you are seeing some light blue sites and some dark blue sites, especially the dark blue ones, those areas still have low levels of COVID. The one of the red sites is actually in California, Sonoma, California, where the population, 237,000 people at this wastewater shed, and you can see the levels are actually dropping at this time, which is a good thing. But again, you did turn red this week, so, I mean, it's dropping, but yet it turned red. That doesn't make much sense to me, because I do not recall that being a red site when we looked at it last week. Now moving on to our next piece of data that we're going to take a look at here, and this is taking a look at the wastewater sites, but on a statewide level. They collaborate them all together, and they come up with a level. So, for example, Nevada, you just have one wastewater site. Well, if that one site's reporting moderate, your level's going to come up as moderate. In Minnesota, they have 33 sites, and when you put them all together, that equals moderate levels. So that's a little bit more concerning because obviously it's more wastewater sites. We also see that there's moderate levels in Delaware, just one site reporting. And then this being our most concerning state, Hawaii, which has 7 sites reporting, and it comes in at very high levels this week. So that's not good. And then, of course, we have a bunch of other sites that are either low or minimal at this time. Texas, for example, you're still coming in at low. Then we do have some that are like New Mexico. It's low, but it's slightly darker shade, and it's almost borderline going moderate now. Same deal can be said for Missouri, Idaho as well, even Maine and New Hampshire. They're still low, but they may turn moderate pretty soon if they go another shade higher into the chart here. All right, let's take a look at some individual wastewater sites. Now on the wastewater scan page, where we can actually go deeper and we can actually take a look at several different viruses. Let's just do a couple in each region. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this because we did report on quite a bit of news today. Taking a look here at Boston, Massachusetts. Boston, once again, they had their rise, then it went down, and now they're starting to rise once again. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. This is for COVID. When we take a look at RSV, no issues. Influenza A, Influenza B, no issues. They are seeing quite the rise now for HMPV. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Norovirus was slightly dropping. Now, the most recent update, maybe a little bit of a rise. Mpox, no issues, and not much of an issue in the way of hepatitis A. All right, making our way southward now. Let's make a stop in New Jersey. Let's go to Newark, New Jersey real quickly because this is a very big wastewater site as well. 1.5 million population, and we can see COVID. It is slowly starting to rise and has been for the entire month of May. RSV, not much in the way of issues. Influenza A, low at this time. It's saying medium, but we'll say it's low at this time. Influenza B, not much in the way of issues. Taking a look at HMPV, not rising. Norovirus it's saying high. We'll say it's moderate to high this time. Some detections of Mpox. Take a look at this. If you've been watching my updates in the past week, we talked about how New York City, we showed a story where it said New York City was seeing a slight increase. Well, you know, this is North Jersey. This is Newark, directly across the river from New York City. So it is starting to spread into New Jersey now as well. And hepatitis A, there are some detections of that. Let's go down to the south and see what's going on in Florida. And we'll take a look at Orlando. Let's go to northwest Orange County, Florida. You can see at this time, COVID, just an ever so slight increase. RSV, no issues. Influenza A, not seeing a rise there. Good to not see rises for influenza A today because, as we all know, influenza A is being monitored very closely in the United States thanks to H5N1. Influenza B, just a slight rise. HMPV, no rise. Norovirus is once again starting to rise, and you're starting to get back into the high territory. Some detections of Mpox starting to show up, and hepatitis A, just a few detections at this time. Now let's go back. How about we go northwest a little? Let's go to Alabama, shall we? Let's go to Valley Creek Wastewater Facility. This is in the Birmingham metro area, and COVID is really, wow, look at this. Dropped 225,000 population, and is really dropping at this time. And we can see RSV, not much of an issue. Influenza A, not much of an issue. Influenza B, no issues. HMPV dropping. Norovirus, it's moderate at this time, but it's not rising. Mpox, just a few detections. Look at that. It's the same time as the last two wastewater sites. You gotta wonder, are they having that issue once again here on Wastewater Scan? I don't know what causes that. Hepatitis A, there are a few detections of that. Now let's go back to the CDC page for just a moment, and we want to take a look at what is going on in the Chicago area. There are some big wastewater sites in Chicago, and we want to see what is going on with them. I believe they are right here, and we can see here, Cook County. Here's one of the smaller ones. Let's see here. Come on. There we go. 1.1 million population at this Cook County site, and it is starting to rise ever so slightly at this time. It's not in a dark shade of blue. It's in the 20 to 39% category, so that is relatively interesting. Here's another wastewater site there. All three of them are seeing a rise, except for this one. This one's not seeing as much of a rise, but again, a rise is starting to occur in Chicago, though be it a small one right now. It's something we will have to keep an eye on. Heading back to Wastewater Scan. Let's head out to the West Coast. Can we do anything in, let's see, we could do Las Vegas, Nevada. Some states, again, look at Arizona. We'll have to go to CDC site again for Arizona. And I think that's where we will end off for today. Taking a look at what's going on in Las Vegas, you can see a slight rise is ongoing there. There is also a slight rise ongoing for RSV. Nothing for influenza A or influenza B or HMPV. Norovirus is seeing a slight rise. Mpox detections, look at that. Same detections as the last wastewater site we looked at. And hepatitis A. Alright, let's go back to the CDC page once again. We do want to take a look at the Pacific Northwest. Then we will end in Arizona. And we can see there is one orange site in the state of Washington. How about we go over near Seattle, Pierce, and King County. Ever so slight rise at this time, but you're still coming in with a lighter shade of blue, 20 to 39% category for you. And Oregon's not doing that bad yet, but we are starting to see a rise. Here's Lincoln, smaller wastewater site, seeing a rise there. Just going to randomly click on your sites. Here's Lane. Lane is dropping at that site. Washington County, Oregon is seeing a slight rise, and we'll just do one more. Marion is seeing a rise. It's only 10,000 population, but hey, it is starting to rise. And now let's go down to Arizona. Let's see what's going on in Maricopa County. We can see here, small rises are starting to occur. Nothing terribly serious yet. That site is flat. Here's another Maricopa County, 130,000 population, and that is starting to rise at this time. Alrighty, folks, that does it for the Sunday Wastewater Update, which actually turned into a regular pandemic update with all the news today. Hopefully you learned something here. Hopefully I covered somewhere near your area. I'm sorry, we didn't get to more wastewater sites. We'll just do a few throughout the week. Maybe we'll try and include Minnesota, some of the places we haven't talked about in a while. If you enjoyed this update, give it a thumbs up. Want to see more content like this? Subscribe to my channel down below. Leave a comment down below. By the way, I am going to be looking for a YouTube comment moderator. If you would like to become one, shoot me an email. I do have my email address in the profile, so I'm going to be selecting someone down the line to help moderate the comments. I can't keep up with all of them sometimes, and there's sometimes we get a few that I don't see till several hours later that, oh, maybe that doesn't need to be. You get the idea. So if you want to be that person, maybe you want to help out, send an email to my email address, which is in the link in the profile down below. It's datareportlive@gmail.com. I believe that's what it is. That's the channel's email address. Already share these videos with anyone you know. I will see you all again next time. Until I see you again next time, stay safe, everyone, and have a fantastic Sunday afternoon. Thanks for watching.